through with that fairly quickly. So vents, weep holes and gaps. So this is in the general. So it's saying where a circular probe of 3 millimeters in diameter is capable of being passed through external vents, weep holes and gaps. The vents, weep holes and gaps shall be screened as specified in sections 3, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. So any little gaps larger than 3 millimeters have to be screened, where in the following sections it says they need to be. So this is said. This is how it has to be done. So anything smaller than 3 millimeters, well then that doesn't require any attention. To determine the maximum aperture size of screening material, it shall be not possible to pass a circular probe of 2 millimeter diameter through the aperture. So weep holes from the frames of windows and glazed doors and those gaps between doors and door jambs, heads or seals that may exceed 3 millimeters are exempt from screening because they do not provide a direct passage for embers to the interior of the building or building cavity. So those from Certificate for Materials and Methods may remember typically when we covered glazing, it had little weep holes in the base of our frames. They're exempted. And that's that bit I was talking about bushfire shutters. If we were to just read that, we'd get the wrong idea. So construction for bushfire attack level low, we can quickly flick through that. So subfloor supports. This standard does not provide construction requirements for subfloor support posts, columns, stumps, piers or poles. So if we're in bushfire low, well then that's not a consideration for us. Subfloor supports, etc. If it's a concrete slab on the ground, this standard does not provide construction requirements for concrete slabs on the ground. So until there is something in here that says you need to do something, basically you don't need to. There are no special requirements for that. So we keep looking through. Same with elevated floors. So in bushfire attack level low, nothing for stumps and subfloors, and then nothing for our elevated floors. Walls, the exposed components of an external wall that are less than 400 millimeters from the ground or less than 400 millimeters above decks, carports, roof awnings, and similar elements or fittings have an angle of less than 80 degrees. So, we're talking about vertical to the horizontal and extending more than 110 millimeters in width from the wall shall be non-combustible material. So, with any of our walls down low, they have to be non-combustible material. So that's in bushfire attack level low. So that's the lowest standard. And then it sets out what that can be. So full masonry or masonry veneer walls, precast or in situ, earth wall, or timber logs of a species with a density of 680 kilograms per cubic meter. And then we think, how are we going to meet that, or what does that 680 kilograms per cubic meter represent? Or cladding that is fixed externally to a timber frame or steel frame wall and is non-combustible material, so any of those things mentioned above. Fibre cement sheet, minimum 6 millimeter thickness. Bushfire resisting timber, or a timber species as specified in paragraph E1, Appendix E. Or it can be a combination of any of those items. So I'll just remember that page 44. Let's quickly flick down to Appendix E. Let's go to watch. I'll go down here through the Appendix E. Is it going to open up? No. Oh, that's a pity. All right. So Appendix E hasn't.
Why would that be that it's not opening up?
I don't know. I think it's got something to do with
trouble with them
on my computer at home. Sometimes it's
yeah.
refresh and start again. Sometimes it comes up. Sometimes
Have you tried Google searching just Appendix E?
Yeah, sure. Let's do that. Yep. Yep. AS3959. Look at images as well. See what there is. It's been put up there. Okay. No.
Appendix E, here we go.
Oh, there we go.
Type
Oh,
in-
that's right.
type
Google,
in
not Bing.
appendix.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
That's where I find most of my stuff.
No, Google's like that.
Google.
Google. Yeah.
So it's actually a
Thank you.
PDF
Yeah.
of timber species.
All right. So I'll get Google happening, and then get Appendix E happening. Okay. That up. I'll get Appendix E. That's a good way around it. Thanks, Mary. So, yeah, timber species and densities. So, timber with a density of 750 kilograms per cubic meter or greater at 12% moisture content. So that previous one was saying you can use these timber logs or you can use that timber cladding if it's got a density of 680 kilograms per cubic meter or higher. If we go straight to Appendix E, all of these are 750 kilograms per cubic meter. Their density. So if it's in here, it certainly meets that requirement. But then there's direct reference also within the AS to Appendix E, and Appendix E gets referenced a lot, and that's why I'm showing it here. So there's a whole lot of Australian natives in this table. So any of our eucalyptus there, so silvertop, ash, blackbutt, yeah, and brush box, grey box, etc. Candlebark, another one. Common timbers you'll get from a timber supplier. Ironbark. You can still buy jarrah as well. Certainly spotted gum is a very common one. But it also includes decking or materials like kapur, which are not Australian. So that's I think Indonesian. I think in Malaysia or Indonesian kapur, and then also I said the other day you might have to, in that bushfire prone area you might not be able to go cheap option. You have to go some of the more expensive options like blackbutt decking or spotted gum or something like that. But there is also mabau in here as well, which is a very durable timber, but once again a rainforest timber. So if it's important to you to think about the origin of the timber and what the environmental impacts are in return in terms of logging of old growth forest, etc., then that might not be the option. So, but within Table E there are plenty of fairly available timbers and very good durable timbers that are good for doing for using outside for decks, etc.
Suppose it don't have cypress.
Or I don't. Yeah, I would not imagine that cypress would have that sort of density.
Or maybe, yeah, maybe.
It's fairly
Got
light.
durability, but not
Yes,
density.
yeah, and same as Oregon as well. It's quite
It's got American Oregon on there.
American Oregon or American oak?
Oak, sorry.
American oak.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're
So
right.
so
Yeah,
once
Oregon,
again,
you're
yeah.
right, yeah.
So once again, something different.
Yes, that's
Yeah. And something when I saw that it had American oak in that table, I haven't followed it up yet. But as an idea I had a while back is in regards to within the wine industry, they use a whole lot of oak boards as well that they will for oaking, Chardonnay and whatnot. So they'll get these oak boards and have them in the vats, and then when a lot of the flavour and tannins and so on come out of that oak, they'll get rid of them. There's a really good supply of very cheap timber via that, but what I'm not sure of yet is whether that's American oak, which is in this table. But that might be of a consideration
So how do you
to some of
access
you
that?
at some point.
So curious.
I got a phone number from a fellow I met who, and I could see about digging that out.
Yes.
Apart from that, there's a sandwich place down south in Lonsdale.
DeYoung's.
DeYoung's, yeah, DeYoung's sell. Now I've never had any dealings with DeYoung's. I don't know what they're like to deal with. You have? Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I noticed they sell all that as well. Those old, So they're getting that for free, or no, not necessarily for free, but they're getting that from possibly McLaren Vale or so. But yeah, I got handed a phone number for a guy in New York. Let's see if I can dig that out. So that's in our construction level low. So that's that relates to our cladding, but we'll also see throughout here mentioned once again of that Appendix E in relation to external glaze elements, doors, windows, etc. And here's an example of what I spoke about before when it comes to bushfire shutters. So it says where footed bush, hang on, no, I'll go down. Yeah, go down to windows. So window assemblies shall comply with one or the following. They shall be completely protected by a bushfire shutter that complies with this clause here, how it should be installed, or completely protected externally by screens that comply with clause 5.518. So you can have screens on the outside of windows, or with one of the following. And we've got bushfire resisting timber species in Appendix E, metal. So windows, doors can be metal frame. That's not too onerous. Or metal reinforced PVC-U. The reinforcing members shall be made from aluminium, stainless steel, corrosion resistant steel. So plenty of fairly standard options within that. And so for putting together this report, the way I would go about doing that is decide on what our bushfire attack level is for there. I think everybody's certainly past that point already. Go in there, take out those little bits that apply to us. So we've got a deck. What is that deck doing? That deck means that this window or so, or this door is within 400 millimeters of a fire source. Find those pertinent sections and pop them in. And that should be fairly simple. I think we've sort of gone through this enough and how it's laid out, and that makes sense to everybody.
They're all laid out the same.
They're all, yes,
standards, aren't they?
exactly, and so it's about going through it piece by piece, spend a little bit of time on reading it and just highlighting those sections that are important to you, or getting a document happening and cut and paste some bits if you feel confident for doing that at that point. So that's the production of those two things, the light and ventilation, and then, or to ensure that that's correct on your plans, and then our bushfire attack, well, our compliance with AS3959 and the production of the report.